state park.
These are the Acrocanthosaurus that are they balanced with their tail and they walked on their toes, or ran. In respect, they probably ran more than they walked, because they're up on their toes all the time. And the sand and mud, it was like a limey sand mud, and it was so gooey and thick that when they stepped in it and they pulled their feet out, they left these tracks. And in the corner over there, there was even one where when they pulled its foot out, all the mud caved back in and curled back over and then just kind of stuck there. So if you, when you get a chance, walk around and look at it looking this way. Big dished out area, but an Acrocanthosaurus also stepped in there and kind of distorted.
I can see that how big that footprint is.
How did they get these movements?
Okay. They were walking in like a beach environment. Very
flat.
muddy,
Was the river on the
flat.
same sort of park?
There was no river here. This was, okay, it was just the same thing here. The coast was here instead of, as this was the beachfront, the pluricolis or sauropods, they like to walk in the shallow water eating the plants. Well, the carnivores, or the Acrocanthosaurus, would come out of the highlands, the uplands, and chase them for prey. And they'd chase them down into this deeper water and tackle them, you know, whatever, however they went about doing it. So how were they preserved? Well, they made their feet print into this mud. Okay. Then as the sea rose, it's probably on a tidal flat, so it's going back and forth. You see all this limey, muddy shale that's underneath here, 2 feet thick? Being in like a more of a marsh then, the tides were going in and out, making like a mossy, peat bog, marshy environment, filled their footprints in. Then it hardened itself, preserving the footprints. Then the ocean got deeper and we get a definite hard layer of limestone capping all that off. And you can see everything above this is limestone. So the ocean got deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. So where it wasn't a beach anymore, now it is an offshore deep ocean environment. Then as the river cuts back down through all this rock, it cuts down to this layer, and this is the next resistant layer, which is the bottom of the river here. Softer material, yeah, it's getting... Every time the river comes up, there's more and more of these tracks get exposed. And about this time last year, you can imagine about 2 feet of this limey mud shale was still covering all this. And last year with the water coming up, it's exposed 3,
So there's probably more tracks back, all on back.
Hundreds probably.
I know that there's if you don't make the turn off to the park, you're going around and up to the river. There's a little sign in a place. Some private person has some land along the river.
It's very possible wherever the lower Glen Rose limestone is exposed, you find tracks. All along the Fluxy River, the bottom of the Fluxy River, which flows through here, is the lower Glen Rose. There's tracks everywhere. If you go 10 miles over to the north, where you hit more of the Brazos River, there's lower Glen Rose. There's tracks there. About 30 miles from here, they dug 2 cores for a nuclear reactor site for power. When they dug down, they hit the lower Glen Rose, there's a set of tracks there, and they removed those tracks and then went ahead and went down further for their nuclear plant. In this situation, yeah, in that environment at that time. And this
Probably
was
just a few days or a week or so that these tracks got made, and
probably, maybe in one day. One day it was enough for the track to be made, and then the tide to come up, push silt and sand in, and then recede. And if all it had to do was fill them in, and that was the beginning of it. And then to give you an idea how deep the ocean got, we're standing on the lower Glenrose. There is probably at least 700 more feet of limestone before you even get to another sand layer. So there's about 700 feet of limestone removed off of here. Yeah, Chalk Mountain was still at the bottom of the ocean at one time.
That's a big hill nearby. I don't want to call it a mountain.
The Thorpe Springs limestone is up on top, and that's probably about 100 feet from here to the top elevation. There's probably another 600 feet of limestone on top of that that has eroded away over millions of years.
Is this one of the few places they found our formations, this Glenrose limestone? That they found lots of dinosaur tracks?
Yeah, and one of the few places that's been preserved by an act of Congress, rather than some of these private individuals that may go ahead and sell the prints and have somebody come in and cut them out. That would be about 5 units above this. If there was any track-bearing layer, it would probably be about 1,000 feet below. Now, there may be a few, oh yeah, hardens, the minerals start to grow, the crystals grow, and that's how you get the minerals to separate. That if they take an iguana, which they have, and they put an iguana in the size, a chamber the size of like a railroad oil tanker, and pressurize, I think they put it to 3 atmospheres, they theorize if they put this iguana under pressure, it's going to grow into a dinosaur. Their idea is the dinosaurs were a function of the increase of atmospheric pressure, and took a regular lizard and made a dinosaur out of them that way. And when the pressure was released, they don't know, they've never given an explanation how the pressure increased. Then they shrank. So right now they've got an iguana over there that they're trying to pressurize.
Poor iguana.
Yeah, I think it's been sitting there 10 years. I think it's still that big.
Are they feeding it or is it dead?
No, it's alive. I don't know how they feed and keep the pressure.
It suffers from post-traumatic stress syndrome, doesn't it?
At least. More of the family name would be an ammonite. It's a nautilus type of creature back in the Cretaceous, probably about 100 million years ago. And what it was a predator, and it preyed upon shellfish and smaller ammonites, mostly shellfish. And it would push itself along, with jet propulsion like the nautilus do, but it was down in the mucky, muddy bottom of a deeper ocean environment, looking for just these oyster-like creatures that it would feed on. And this actually would have spiraled around and curled into a tight formation, and its head would come out here with tentacles.
Okay, I know. Actually, I have one of these cephalopod. A neighbor of ours, a former neighbor of ours, collected fossils as a hobby, and he brought us a few that we have on our mantelpiece. But they have ribbing that's more pronounced.
This has been worn away by the river so much that there's 2 different, like, sutures, where one curl fit into the other.
I believe in miracles because I believe in God.